Good morning. My name is Aurelie Cormier, and welcome to the Intentional Wellness Parenting Show, where we set an intention to create healing and wellness every living day. Let me ask you, have you felt sometimes that life is just hard? Wonder if I told you that our life is actually meant for joy, fun, and good health. Of course, it doesn't just happen, but the first step to getting there is to believe that good health is possible and to envision what you would love. From there, we can choose the simple health habits that give our minds, bodies, and spirits the nourishment it needs to work well. Over 2 million people in the U.S. will be diagnosed with cancer this year. Between 600,000 and 1 million are preventable. Our genes are not our destiny, yet our epigenetics can be affected by environmental factors. Therefore, the best time to make a difference is now. So let's dive right in. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Intentional Wellness Parenting, and I'm so glad you're here. And as we're building this community of like-minded parents, and we're starting a new academic year. Some school systems have already started. I know up in the northern part of the country, oftentimes they don't start until after Labor Day. But most schools are starting right about now. And with the new academic year coming, oftentimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially in the setting of the amount of stress that everyone is dealing with in our world, not only with the conflicts around the world, but also with the weather events that are happening, the fires out west and some of the floods in the Midwest, and the very different climate conditions around the world with other things that are happening. So how do we help our kids get through these challenging times? And so I thought this would be a good topic to address because, as adults, we've been through many things before. So some of these things we have adapted to how we deal with stress, but kids are still in the process of learning some of these things. And there are things that I've found out we can do to help them. And so I want to share them with you because they're pretty exciting. But I thought I would start with a true story. And I will tell you that I am friends with the mother. And so I know that this is a true story. I will change the name of her daughter. And so we will call her Rachel. And Rachel was, when she was about 15, she was a really good student. I mean, she was so sweet and so smart, and she worked hard. She got good grades. She had a wonderful community of friends. And as with many of us in adolescence, we go through challenging times. And so for Rachel, as she was 15, she and her friends, it was the time when cell phones became abundant. They were everywhere. And so all the kids at school had a cell phone. They carried them around with them consistently. And so they started using them and becoming very savvy with all the things that were available to them. But one of the things they found is that there were apps. And these were social media party chat apps. And they could connect with kids from other towns. And as they connected, they started getting friendlier and decided to get together and connect in person. And so Rachel and her friends got connected with some senior boys in another town, and then decided one night that they would go to a party in the other town. And so Rachel got to meet one of the boys that she had connected with more. And by the end of the night, after speaking to him, she was raped by him. And as you can imagine, for any woman who's raped, it's, just a horrific experience. But for a teenager who's never had this situation before, it was very traumatizing for her. And so luckily she, was able to share with her parents what she was so upset about. And so they got her into counseling. But at the same time that she was going through counseling to deal with her trauma, she also got involved with taking illicit drugs. And she was able to access these drugs via an app on her phone. And unbeknownst to me, I'm learning all this stuff. Some of these apps on the phone where they could access these illicit drugs are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. And so she started getting drugs, she would order online and the drugs would be mailed to her. And I will say that these drug dealers on these apps and social media sites, they're very savvy. They usually will only stay on for about 24 hours to try to make it harder for law enforcement to catch them. So anyway, Rachel started ordering cocaine. And one day when she was 18, unbeknownst to her, when she ordered the cocaine on this app on her phone, it was laced with fentanyl. And as you can imagine, she took it thinking it was cocaine and then went into respiratory arrest. And her parents found her the next morning. And I can't imagine how devastated they were to find their daughter dead. They were, beyond devastated. But anyway, from this experience of losing their daughter, her mom became an advocate for the use of for reducing the use of social media apps like Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat, and the dealing of drugs on the internet. So she connected with other parents and then started connecting. She would go to Washington every other month and connect with, her representative, connect with other parents who had experienced the same thing with their teen children, and then also connect with her senators. And out of this came the Kids Online Safety Act, which has been passed by the House. They're hoping that it's going to be passed by the Senate next month. And then what will happen is the two chambers will have to reconcile the differences in their bills and come up with one bill that says the same thing. And so if any of you can, please call your representative or your senators in September, when hopefully they'll be back in office, and keep your message really simple. It's one thing. You're calling to say, please, can you please support the Kids Online Safety Act bill? And they will, give that message to the representative or the senator. And hopefully this bill will get passed in the session before the end of the year. And as a mom, I can't imagine what this mom went through with the loss of her precious daughter. But what I will say is I admire her so much for her courage that she took this tragic experience and she found a mission and a purpose to go and try to help prevent this from happening to other kids and other parents by, advocating for this online social media safety. To really, the bottom line is it gives her daughter's life meaning, even though she isn't here anymore. She did start a foundation in her daughter's name, and it's a wonderful organization. And I think, I applaud her for all this hard work that she's done. So with that said, what can we parents do to help bring a sense of safety and well-being to our kids? Because this is something that hopefully we won't have, this is going to happen to other families, but we want to minimize this as much as possible because social media is so in our face all the time and so available. So and the stress in the world is everywhere. I'm feeling it. And as an adult, as a parent, I'm feeling it. So if I'm feeling it, imagine how much more acutely our kids are feeling it. So as a mom, I know that we're the health managers of the home. We're the nurturers, we're the caretakers. We know our kids better than anyone. And the dads are the supporters, they're the protectors. But I will say there are some dads today who are becoming the caretakers of their kids. They're the ones staying home while their wives go to work. And so those dads actually know their kids better than anyone. So I wanted to bring greater awareness to all parents of how we can actually understand better what our kids are going through, what they're being exposed to in today's culture and during these challenging times, and how we might be able to mitigate some of the negative effects. And as I've talked about before, because of our current events in the world, which are very stressful, and to, so many kids that are exposed to social media and the internet on a, minute by minute basis. I mean, there's breaking news and you're hearing things in real time. It really impacts on our kids' emotional health. We do know that social media has been found to contribute to the levels of emotional stress, difficulty with sleeping, increase in anxiety, depression, in some cases, suicide, and they've found that for young girls 13 to 17, there's a greater impact on their body image, that they tend to have a less or a more poor body image because of the social media and what it projects. Eating disorders, low self-esteem, especially when they're on these apps for 3 or more hours a day. And when you're carrying that phone around with you all day long, 3 hours can add up pretty quickly. So luckily, there are states which are passing laws to say that kids cannot take their phones into the classroom. They have to leave them in their locker. And this is a good thing, because at least while they're in the classroom, they're not on their phones, because sometimes all it takes is changing our patterns, right? And even changing our patterns so they're not in the classroom may carry over to other things. And at home, if we say we can't, we want to have more connection at dinner time, let's leave our cell phones aside. That can also be helpful to reduce the amount that they're getting into a habit of using their cell phones constantly. And as you're probably realizing, some of these situations, it is very helpful to have open communication and connection and dialogue with our kids. I mean, that's something that's super easy when they're little, right? I remember when my daughter was little, we'd meet somebody new and she'd say, "This is my mom." And then when she became a teenager, it was like she wanted to hide if anybody that she knew was around when I was around. And this was the thing that I will share with you honestly. When I was a first-time parent, and my daughter was 13 or 14 and she was becoming a teen, I just thought to myself, oh, she's getting older. She's getting more independent. She doesn't need me as much. No, no, no. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, they need us more. And even though they are becoming independent and pushing us away, it's because they need us more. And they need to continue to have connection and communication with us. So the more we can practice that when they're younger, it becomes a little bit easier when they're trying to pull away and actually need us more. And if we can just have some connection with them so that if things do happen, they feel more comfortable coming to us and letting us know what's bothering them, so that we can be their advocate. We can help guide them through these challenging times. Because, a lot of times kids today, they feel lonely. And so just to continue to connect with them can be really helpful. So what else can be done to help our children cope with these stressful, challenging, and traumatic situations? Well, one of the things that can be extraordinarily helpful, as I talk about all the time, I love to talk about it, is developing positive health habits. And that doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, but we just have to begin. And so today, I thought it might be helpful if we tried some mindfulness meditation, because one of the things that's been found is even though all this stress in our world, the conflicts in different countries, the weather events, is programming our brain for stress and wiring it for stress, we can actually undo that and rewire our brains for resilience. And if we can do that with our children, we are going to be enormously helpful to them, because this is what mindfulness meditation can help with. And we'll, talk a little bit more about Richard Davidson and Cortland Dahl and the work that they've been doing about how we can rewire our brains for resilience. But one of these good health habits, I thought we could actually practice together today. And I'm going to lead us through a mindfulness meditation. And for those of you who have done this, you know how beneficial it is and how good it helps you to feel after you've done your mindfulness meditation. But for those that haven't done it, I would say just give it a try. I will explain what we do, and then you can follow along. And my experience is that until you've done it for about 3 months, you're probably not going to notice any difference. But for those who have done it before, because I remember when I first started mindfulness meditation, and I would put my timer on, and I would sit back and close my eyes and do the meditation for 20 minutes. And 20 minutes later, the alarm would go off, and I'm like, okay, whatever, don't feel any different. And then 3 months into it, one day, as I was coming out of the meditation, I could feel my energy level coming up. And I felt so peaceful and so calm. And there was such this wonderful, renewed energy inside of me. And I was like, now I know what they're talking about. So I hope that you can hold on to that thought. And, if you haven't done this before, I don't expect that you're going to feel any different when we finish, but just remember that if you continue this on a regular basis, and ideally it's 20 minutes a day, once you get it and you start feeling that relaxing feeling after doing the meditation, even if you only have 5 minutes a day, it's beneficial for 5 minutes a day. So with that, what I'm going to have you do is we're going to try 5 minutes, and we're going to put some Reiki healing, positive energy music on in the background. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it. I hope that you will, because I'm going to have this right next to the computer. And I figure if it can hear maybe I should have it next to the microphone. That would be even better, wouldn't it? So anyway, we'll do this for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back together. But to prepare ourselves, what you're going to do is I want you to get in a comfortable position, whether that's lying down on the floor, on your bed, on the couch, whether that's sitting. And what a lot of people who do meditation on a regular basis is they sit on the floor with a pillow underneath their bottom and have their legs crossed. I'm a runner. That would kill my knees. So I always sit in a chair. I have the back of the chair supports my back. I sit up straight and tall. I put my hand and my feet touch the floor, which is great being short, that my feet actually touch the floor. And then if you have high blood pressure, you want to put your palms down on your thighs. If you have low blood pressure, you want to turn your hands over, have your palms facing up towards the sky. Okay. And you're going to, throughout the entire 5 minutes we do this, all you're going to do is take deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you take a deep breath in, you're going to visualize and feel divine universal energy coming in through every pore of your body, collecting in the area right behind your belly button, which we call the lower dantian. It's like your battery pack that allows you to have energy available at any time throughout the day when you need it. And then as you exhale, you're going to visualize and feel that anything that no longer serves you is leaving every pore of your body, coming out, transforming into beautiful butterflies, going happily back to the ends of the universe. Okay? Does that sound good? And what you can do is on the inhale, in your mind, say Ram. And on the exhale, in your mind, say Om. And the reason that we do that is they are two sounds that really have no meaning. And because if we use the word carrot and stick, that would like ignite our brain into stress. But we use Ram and Om, have no meaning. So it just brings you to a calm and peaceful state. So what I'm going to have you do is get into a comfortable position, whichever way you feel works best for you. Put your hands on your lap, as we talked about, down if you have high blood pressure, up if you have low blood pressure. And if you feel comfortable doing so, closing your eyes, and we're going to do a couple minutes of peaceful meditation music. Okay, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Letting go of anything that no longer serves you. Deep breath in and out through your mouth. And just continue with that. Okay. So how do you feel? Maybe a little less stressed, a little calmer. It's a wonderful feeling. I hope so. But if you do this on a regular basis, it will you will notice a huge difference. But the important thing that I want you to know is, I know I've shared this. This is my new champion book. I love this book, Born to Flourish, How New Science and Ancient Wisdom Reveal a Simple Path to Thriving, by Richard Davidson and Cortland Dahl. They are champions because oftentimes what we tend to transmit in the healthcare system and in our current, environment is all the things that can go wrong. Oh, we're under so much stress. We're making our brains, wired for stress. We're making ourselves anxious and depressed. And, we have veterans committing suicide, and that's what gets transmitted over and over. But what this book, Born to Flourish, tells us, and the research shows, is that we're actually born to thrive. This is in a wonderful age when we're getting research information that proves that we don't have to focus on all the negative things all the time. That if we have those positive health habits, no matter how old we are, how long we've been under stress, how much our brains have been wired for stress, we actually can rewire them for flourishing and for happiness and joy and thriving. So that's what I want you to keep in mind. It's never too late. And we can actually help our brains to be stronger and healthier. And so I love, love, love this book. And what I want you to know is in this work that they've been doing, then we think, all right, well, wonder if a woman starts meditating or doing yoga or doing qigong during pregnancy, those first 8 weeks when the template of all the organs are forming, in that mid-trimester from week about 14 to 27, when all the intricate parts of the brain are forming, can't we then make the brain healthier and more resilient to stress for the long term? That's a really exciting thought. So this is what I want you to keep in mind, is that in pregnancy, young childhood and adolescence, if we can bring these practices to our children, we can actually help them to build more resiliency against the stress that they're going to experience in life. And I remember my daughter, when she was in second grade, there was a student teacher who came into the classroom for 6 months or whatever. And she would teach the kids yoga. And if they felt stressed during the day, they could raise their hand. The teacher said, okay, you want to go to the yoga corner? Go to the yoga corner. It was in the back of the classroom. And they could just be there, do yoga, help de-stress, calm themselves down. And when they were ready, they would come back to their seats and they could hear everything the teacher was saying. It's just they didn't have to sit still in their chairs at their desks. I just thought was a wonderful thing. So in addition to that, giving them nutritious meals, whole grains, whole fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, walnuts and nuts help to keep the brain healthier. Having adequate sleep, which detoxifies our brain every night. Finding gratitude and expressing that to our children. We are so grateful for the beings that they are, how they helped their brother or their friend, when they fell down, they helped them to get up. So those are all really helpful. What I want to leave you with is I have 2 workshops to offer you that will help in this regard. One is called Envisioning the Life You Would Love. I've given it about 4 times already this year. I'm giving it again in September on the 8th and the 9th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. I hope you come. It's a free masterclass, as I said, September 8th and 9th in the evening. And I would love to have you join us. I can tell you myself, I manifested my dream. If I can do it, you can too. And the other thing, workshop I have is Legacy Reset, Prevention, Survivorship, and Healing. It's every Wednesday evening starting September 16th through April 14th, again, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. each of those Wednesdays, Eastern Time, 4 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. And this is where we're going to talk about how people who have a personal or a family history of cancer can reset their health habits to give themselves a better chance of staying healthy, surviving, preventing cancer, not only in themselves, but especially their kids. If we start before we get pregnant and then continue when they're young children and adolescents, can have a great impact on giving them longer, healthier lives. So go to my website, aureliecormier.com. I would love to have you there because I realized after 41 years of acute care oncology, 30 to 50% of those cancers didn't have to happen. And if I can be of service to you, that's what I would love to do, to help you to be healthy and strong for the long term. So you can do more of what you love and spend less time being sick. So I hope you'll come, sign up, and we'll hopefully see you. Okay? Okay. Have a great month. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye. You've been listening to the Intentional Wellness Parenting Show with Aurelie Cormier and Dr. Pat, where we set an intention to create healing and wellness every living day. Tune in to Transformation Talk Radio every 3rd Tuesday of each month at 11:30 a.m. Pacific and 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time for more guidance and support. Beyond this, I offer workshops to focus on your good health while reducing risk of disease, especially cancer, so you can do more of what you love and spend less time being sick. What I know for sure is that this is especially beneficial for couples who are pregnant, have young children, or teens, as you will give yourself and kids the greatest chance of living a longer, healthier life. So please join us at the Intentional Wellness Parenting Show. For more information, visit AurelieCormier.com.